All right, let's talk about ramen. And I mean perfect ramen. Forget the recipe book for a minute. Today, we're going to grab a science textbook instead. We're diving deep into the chemistry, the physics, all the sciencey goodness that makes this one dish so good.
You know the feeling, right? Why does the ramen you get at a great shop taste so much better than what you can make at home? You've been there. You followed the recipe to a T. You buy all the fancy ingredients, but something's just not there. That incredible depth, that richness, it just feels impossible to get right. So what's the deal?
Well, here's the thing. The answer isn't some super secret ingredient that only chefs know about. Nope, it's science. And once you understand the basic principles happening inside that bowl, you can close that gap between good homemade ramen and unbelievable restaurant ramen. That's what we're going to do today.
Okay, so let's start with the absolute heart of any ramen, the soup. Now, here's the first big secret. A great ramen soup isn't just one thing. It's actually three different things coming together at the last second. Think of it as the ramen trinity.
So let's break this down. First, you've got the broth, or dashi. This is your foundation. It's all about that body, that texture, that mouthfeel. Super important. It's not supposed to be salty by itself. Then you have the tare, which is like the soul of the ramen. This is where all the saltiness comes from, and it basically tells the soup what it's going to be. Shoyu, shio, miso, you name it. And last but not least, you've got the aromatic oil. This is the final flourish. It brings that amazing smell, adds a layer of richness, and it even acts like a little blanket to keep your soup piping hot. Okay, now for the magic. You know that incredible, savory, I can't stop eating this flavor in a great bowl of ramen? That thing you can't quite describe? Well, that's umami. But we're going to talk about something even cooler, umami synergy. This is some serious flavor math. And here's the part that is just going to blow your mind. Umami synergy is this amazing scientific principle where combining different kinds of umami doesn't just add them together, it multiplies their power. We're not talking 1 + 1 = 2, we're talking 1 + 1 = like 8. It's wild.
And this is exactly what we're talking about. When you take a plant-based umami, like from kombu seaweed, and you combine it with an animal-based umami, like from pork bones, bam! You get this flavor explosion that is literally 5 to 8 times stronger. It's not an opinion, it's actual science. Your taste buds are just the lucky little labs that get to confirm the results.
So here are the three big players you need to know. Think of this as your umami cheat sheet. You've got glutamic acid, which comes from plants. Think kombu, tomatoes, onions. Then you've got inosinic acid from animal sources like pork, chicken, or those bonito fish flakes. And finally, guanolic acid, the powerhouse you find in dried shiitake mushrooms. The absolute best ramen broths, they're using at least 2 of these and often all 3 to create that unbelievably complex flavor.
All right, we've totally nailed the flavor science. But what about that texture? You know, that rich, creamy, almost milky-looking broth that clings to the noodles? How do they do that? Well, it's not cream or milk. It's pure physics.
The secret is something called an emulsion. All that means is you're getting fat and water, 2 things that hate each other, to mix. The magic ingredient is gelatin, which you get from boiling bones for a long time. The gelatin basically grabs onto the tiny droplets of fat and holds them suspended in the water. That's what gives you that creamy texture. And that opaque white color, that's just the light bouncing off millions and millions of those tiny fat droplets.
But get this, you don't need a giant stock pot and a 12-hour boil to get that same effect at home. Here is the ultimate hack. Use a blender. Seriously. You just take some of your hot broth and fat, throw it in a blender, and blitz it on high for like a minute. The blender forces the fat and water to emulsify. It's a total game changer, and you get that beautiful creamy soup in seconds.
Okay, perfect soup, check. But what's a perfect soup without the perfect noodle, right? So let's shift gears and talk about the science behind getting that perfect, snappy chew.
All right, time for a little myth busting. Have you ever been boiling noodles or pasta and the pot starts to bubble over, so you toss in a cup of cold water to calm it down? I think we've all done it. It works, right? But the question is, should you be doing it?
The answer is a big, fat nope. It is a total myth. That sudden shock of cold water completely messes with the cooking process. It basically stuns the noodles, making the outside gummy while the inside stays raw. Just don't do it. The real pro move? Just turn down the heat a little.
Okay,
Now for a really next-level tip that most people have never even thought about. The pH of your boiling water matters a lot. See, the perfect water for noodles is slightly acidic. It helps them stay nice and firm. But ramen noodles are alkaline, so as they cook, they actually make the water more alkaline, which is bad. It makes the water gummy and can ruin the noodles.
So how do you fix it? It's so easy, it's brilliant. Just add a tiny splash of vinegar to your boiling water. That's it. You won't taste it at all, I promise. But that little bit of acid will keep the pH perfectly balanced, and you will get perfectly cooked noodles every single time. It's a total pro move. So, we've got our scientifically perfect soup, we've got our scientifically perfect noodles. Now for the final act, putting it all together. And believe it or not, there's some serious physics involved here that can make or break your whole bowl.
Okay, there's a very specific order of operations here that really matters. First, you put the tare and the aromatic oil into the empty bowl. Then, you pour the hot broth right on top. The force of the pour does all the mixing for you and creates one last perfect little emulsion. After that, in go the noodles, and you arrange your toppings as fast as you can.
Now listen up, because this might be the single most important and most often forgotten step in the entire process. You must preheat your bowl. I'm talking at least 50 degrees Celsius, which is about 122 Fahrenheit. This is completely, totally, 100% non-negotiable.
And here's why it's so important. Think of a cold ceramic bowl as a heat thief. It's just sitting there waiting to steal the heat from your beautiful hot soup. The second that broth hits the cold bowl, its temperature can drop by several degrees instantly. You did all that work just to eat lukewarm ramen? No way! The easiest fix? Just fill the bowl with boiling water while your noodles are cooking. It's such a simple step, but it makes a huge difference.
So, when you really think about it, making ramen isn't just cooking. It's like being a deliciousness scientist in your own kitchen. You're playing with umami synergy, fluid dynamics, thermodynamics. You're literally building this carefully calculated universe of flavor inside a single bowl. It's pretty amazing, right? So now you know the science. The only question left is, which one of these tips are you going to try first?